The Galactic Concord had ruled for 12 millennia. Its laws were absolute, its justice swift, and its peace, enforced by the iron will of the Syntheri hegemony, unshakable. Across 1,000,000 star systems, species bowed to the Concord's edicts. Dissent was erased. Rebellion was myth. And humanity? Humanity was a footnote, a primitive, quarrelsome species from the Orion Arm, barely spacefaring when first encountered. Their planet, Earth, had been placed under observation quarantine after they'd accidentally destroyed 3 of their own moons during early fusion experiments. The Concord deemed them too volatile, too emotionally unstable, too human to be trusted with interstellar society. They were left alone, isolated behind a cordon of silent drones and diplomatic silence. For 2 centuries, humanity vanished from galactic records. Then, on cycle 12,084 of the Concord calendar, the sensors of Outpost Theta 9 screamed. At first, the Syntheri commandant thought it a glitch, a cascade failure in the long-range gravimetric array. But then the anomaly resolved into shape and numbered 700,000 warships. Not sleek cruisers or elegant dreadnoughts like those of the Zenthari or the crystalline fleets of the Virel. These were brutal, angular black-hulled monsters bristling with weapon ports, shield emitters, and something the Concord had never seen before. Human insignias. Skulls crossed with wrenches, eagles clutching fusion cores, names like Last Argument of Kings, Never Yield, and We Come in Peace. Shoot first. The Concord Council convened an emergency session. Panic rippled through the chamber, a place where calm logic had reigned for eons. "They're primitive," shrieked the Lumari delegate, their bioluminescent skin flickering violet with fear. "They barely had warp drives when we sealed them off." "Then how?" rumbled the ancient Synthari Archon, his voice like grinding tectonic plates. "Do they now command a fleet larger than all our combined armadas, and radiating energy signatures that defy known physics?" No one had an answer. On the bridge of the UNS Aegis, Admiral Elena Rostova stood with her arms crossed, eyes fixed on the holographic projection of the Concord capital, Xylos Prime. Around her, officers moved with calm precision. No shouting, no panic, just the quiet hum of reactors and the occasional crackle of comms. "Hail from the Concord Council." "Admiral," said Lieutenant Chen, "they're demanding we stand down and identify ourselves." Rostova smirked. "Patch it through." Full broadcast. The main view screen flickered to life, revealing the assembled alien dignitaries. Tall, elegant, trembling. "This is Admiral Rostova of the United Earth Fleet," she said, voice steady, calm, and laced with steel. 200 years ago you called us unstable. You said we were a threat to galactic order. You locked us in a cage and called it mercy." She paused. The silence stretched across light years. "Well," she continued, "we've been busy." Behind her, tactical displays lit up, not with weapons charging, but with data. Footage flooded the Concord channels. Earth cities rebuilt after climate collapse. Mars terraformed in 80 years. Jupiter's moons turned into shipyards. Saturn's rings mined for antimatter. And then, the breakthroughs. Humanity hadn't just advanced. They'd reinvented physics. While the Concord stagnated in philosophical complacency, humans had pushed, through war, through failure, through sacrifice. They'd cracked quantum entanglement communication, harnessed dark energy, and built engines that bent causality itself. Their ships didn't just travel faster than light. They remembered where they wanted to go and arrived before they left. And their weapons? The Concord had never seen anything like the Nova Lances, projectiles that carried miniature supernovae in magnetic bottles. Or the silence fields, which didn't destroy matter. They erased information, turning enemy ships into blank slates of confused atoms. But the most terrifying thing wasn't the tech. It was the why. "We didn't come to conquer," Rostova said, her voice softening just enough to unnerve them further. "We came because you called us animals, because you thought we'd stay in our pen, because you forgot one thing." She leaned forward, eyes blazing. "We remember. Across the galaxy, species that had suffered under conquered rule watched the broadcast in stunned silence. The enslaved Qatari whispered prayers. The censored poets of Velis wept. On 1,000 worlds, hope flickered for the first time in centuries. The Synthari Archon stood. "You will not intimidate the conquered. We have peacekeepers. We have orbital defenses. You have fear," Rostova interrupted. "And fear makes mistakes. She gave a single nod. The 700,000 human warships didn't fire. They didn't move. They simply activated. Every ship emitted a low-frequency pulse, a resonance tuned not to destroy but to disrupt. Across Xylos Prime, every Concord weapon system, every drone, every surveillance satellite flickered and died. Not from damage, from recognition. Humanity had reverse-engineered Concord tech from the observation drones left near Sol and built a virus that spoke their machine's language like a native tongue. The Concord's technological supremacy evaporated in 3.7 seconds. Then from the human fleet, shuttles launched, not armed, but bearing diplomats, engineers, and medics. "We're not here to rule," Rostova announced galaxy-wide. "We're here to liberate. The Concord ends today, not by fire, but by choice." And for the first time in 12,000 years, the galaxy chose. In the aftermath, historians would call it the Quiet Dawn. No planet was glassed. No species eradicated. The Concord collapsed not under bombardment, but under the unbearable weight of its own irrelevance. Humanity didn't take the throne. They dismantled it. They shared their tech, not as gifts but as tools. Taught others how to think, not what to obey. And when the new Galactic Assembly formed, its first law was simple. No species shall be caged for being different. Back on Earth, children played under skies no longer choked with smog. On Mars, farmers harvested crops under twin suns. And in the shipyards orbiting Neptune, welders laughed as they laid keel for the next generation of explorers. Because humanity had never wanted to rule the stars. They just wanted to reach them. And now, the galaxy trembled, not in fear of human warships, but in awe of what humans built after the guns fell silent.